the keeper of Ashwood High. Ashwood was the kind of town people forgot existed. Tucked between two dying mountains and surrounded by fog-thick woods, it wore silence like a second skin. At its center stood Ashwood High, an aging, red-brick building that creaked like an old man's bones. And in its basement, where the light bulbs flickered and the air always felt a little too cold, worked the janitor, Mr. Elias Thorne. He had been there for decades. Students whispered about him, creepy, muttering to himself, eyes too empty. But like wallpaper, he blended into the background. A man people saw every day, but never really saw at all. It started when Tyler Green, a senior and local football star, vanished after detention. The only clue left behind was a single black feather in a locker room drain, oddly large, like it belonged to something prehistoric. Police labeled it a runaway case. But then, a week later, Lila Montgomery, a quiet honor student, went missing on her walk home. Again, nothing left but a feather, this time in her notebook. The town went from murmurs to panic. Enter Detective Maren Bell, sent from the State Department. She was sharp-eyed and calm, not easily shaken. Her investigation circled students, teachers, local drifters, but everyone overlooked the janitor. Everyone except Maren. Elias Thorne's records were odd. No digital footprint, no birth certificate, a faded employment file from 1982, no updates since. It was like he didn't exist before Ashwood High. Maren followed him one night after school. He entered the basement, but never came out. She descended the stairs with a flashlight and a drawn gun, expecting a boiler room. What she found was something else. A hidden chamber, walls covered in burned photos, feathers, and cryptic writing etched in bone ash. A shrine stood in the center, not to a god but to a child. A boy who looked like Elias, only younger. There were journals. Maren read one by dim flashlight. They laughed as he burned. My boy, locked in a locker by students who thought it was a joke. The fire spread too fast. I was too late. They never punished them. The principal told me to forget, to clean up. So I did. And now, I cleaned differently. Elias hadn't always been the janitor. He had once been a history teacher. His son, Noah, died in a cruel prank gone wrong in 1985, swept under the rug by the school to avoid scandal. He was removed from his post, given a mop, and told to move on. He never did. The myth awakens. Maren found one last journal entry, written recently. They think I'm just old, but I remember the old crow god, the one who fed on justice and feathers. I gave him names. I gave him pain. He gave me power. Suddenly, the room's lights flickered and a sound echoed. Not quite wings, not quite screaming. A black feathered shadow rose from the shrine. Maren ran. The next morning, Elias was gone. So was Maren. Her badge and recorder were found outside the school. The town spun another tale. The cop went rogue. But the town's children, especially those who bullied or abused others, began to disappear. One by one, always with a feather left behind. Years later, a new janitor arrived at Ashwood High. Quiet, limping, always whispering to the air. Some say it's Elias in a new form. Others say it's the crow god, wearing human skin. But if you ever visit Ashwood High, don't be cruel. Especially not to the quiet ones. You never know who's watching.